What's going on, everybody? You back on Codex Reacts with Sunday, so thanks for watching. Thanks for tapping in. We're back here with more creepy TikToks. Do you like questioning reality? Oh boy, you're gonna love this one. And if you haven't done already, hit and smash the like button for me. Smash that subscribe button. And now, let's get into it. The shrimp mantis. She fought for her life.
Ficus, the forgotten zodiac sign, happens to be in the middle of the zodiac. And Isaac continues to point out that someone or something has wanted us to forget there was such a sign.
Now there's a zodiac scene in the main part of the temple that's straight. It's a square, rectangle zodiac. So what's interesting was no one knows why this is unclean.
Wow, I've never noticed that before.
Something is going on here, so I start asking here, and all of a sudden he reveals, well, there's actually 36 decans, and there is a 13th decan, and this is the 13th decan. And I said, well, I'm here looking for the 13th sign. Well, that's the decan of 13. So look at it closer. His name is Sepikami. And if you try to Google that name, you'll never find any information on that.
That's very strange.
What are the odds that the 13th decan out of this entire ceiling is still got?
But what?
It's a serpent.
Okay, so you're saying this is referencing Ficus, the serpent.
The grey pope is Pt.14. He trumps the black, he trumps the white pope.
The grey pope is even
pope.
higher than the black and the white pope.
The Orsini is the Maxima family. They are the maximum family. They are on top. And somehow they've trumped the Colonna and the Farnese, which I know without any doubt through all my studies that they are the three most powerful Illuminati.
What about Rothschild and Rockefeller?
Well, they are Orsini. They just changed their name. Rockefeller were Rothschilds. Rothschilds were Orsini. Orsini were a family which have their blood lines in Babylon and Egypt. They tell you that. You read their biographies, they'll tell you that. We go back to Nimrod, they tell you that. The Rothschilds say that. We go back to Nimrod. How? Through the Orsini. So Rockefeller, Rothschild, Orsini, and then you go back to the Persian and Egyptian dynasties.
Ain't that crazy? The same families are ruling this world since the dawn of time. What are we gonna do about it?
Button it up, lift them back up. All right, next you're gonna grab the two legs and you try an overhand knock. Right over left, left over right, as such. And then you're gonna put this over your head. This is the part that you're gonna inflate. So you're gonna grab air, you're gonna grab your hand, you're gonna slap air inside. Go underwater.
I'll be sinking by now. I'll be gone.
Kind of hold it in place.
He threw a nice hard knee, and because I'd seen it all his fights, he won with knees, so I expected hard knees, but...
I mean, specifically, probably not. Yeah. Like, I'm not specifically, yeah. But yeah, that's happened.
Do people try to...
It was nice to know, you know, he gave me a clean shot to the body, and I could take it, so...
And you, like what he's saying, if somebody was messing with somebody, I got up.
Wow! I feel violated right now. Wow.
Get that off there.
Hey! We have to be naked on stage during one full song. Answer Justin Bieber.
I have like little girl fans. I can't go.
Okay, imagine there was no laws.
Look at this. Lean into me again. You smell amazing. How old are you?
Thank you.
How old are you?
I'm 16. I'll be 17 in like 2 weeks.
I don't ever remember smelling that good at 16. Wow, look at your eyes. And what? So look at him. Look at what a beautiful face. All right.
It was Katy Perry who apparently wanted to know what a Bieber butt felt like.
Squeeze your face. No, I will. No. Squeeze your face.
Canadian high school. This with me. Come on, let's do it together.
That makes me feel uncomfortable.
I just want to protect her, you know? I don't want her to go through anything I went through. I don't wish that upon anybody.
It's not all fun and chill. It's abuse.
Well, last planet, but very rare, and that really blew my mind because
where did it blow it to?
Everywhere.
Oh, all right. First of all, yes, some can come through portals in their original form, and there are a few, very few remaining versions that are similar to their original form, but you're surrounded by dinosaurs. You know they're the birds. They evolved into birds. You know that already.
Yeah, I've seen videos of pterodactyls, and I was just like, ooh. Like,
well, a pterodactyl's not a bird. A pterodactyl is a flying reptile.
I always thought it was a dinosaur.
Certain dinosaurs, yes, in a sense it is. But certain dinosaur branches actually became birds. So many of your scientists, in recognizing that now, don't refer to birds as birds anymore. They refer to them as avian dinosaurs. Because that's what they are. It is simply the evolutionary path that the dinosaurs that remained, that didn't go extinct, took. So you're surrounded by them. Tweet, tweet.
It will talk about the inverse relationship between fluoride and IQ. So that as fluoride actually went up, IQ actually went down. As fluoride in the drinking water went up, IQ went down. In these 3,200 municipalities, they found an inverse relationship between the amount of fluoride and IQ. Mm-hmm. So as the amount of fluoride in the drinking water per municipality went up, the IQ actually went down, especially in prepubescent teens. It talked especially about the incidence of IQ going down in prepubescent teens. And again, I'm not trying to like sound the alarm, but if you have the possibility of filtering your water and not drinking fluoride in your water, and also chlorine and microplastics and pharmaceuticals, then for sure tap water is one of the things I think that you should permanently get out of your life.
If you have the possibility of installing a filtering system, cool for you, cool. But you know how much it costs? An arm and a leg. I mean, there is no way people they're just gonna install it. They want more fluoride in the water, so poor people they just get dumber. And that's just scandalous.
Always heard this rumor that she slept her way to the top. That's true?
She did. Look, if you want to find out about it, go online to the LA Times morgue. They've been reporting on her for 30-some years. She's in her 20s, and Willie Brown took her up as his mistress. There was a medical firm that dealt with San Francisco. He got her a 15-hour-a-week part-time job there, which she never showed up to, according to the Times, but they paid her $72,000 a year for 15 hours a week. And so he got her promoted up, so she did 20 hours a week. Times reported she never showed up, but she got 120 grand a year. So he bought her a 750i BMW, which was the top of the line at the time. So he set her up with all of the connections to get her into politics. The Times did a thing about this thing she had allegedly with an NBA player to get a job with a big law firm, and then a thing they did on her with the assistant director for the district attorney's office to get on with them, and then Montel Williams, and then back to Willie Brown, and then the rest of the whole thing, and she winds up with a Hollywood lawyer type not long before she runs for senator. So, and she adopts his children. She doesn't have any of her own, not saying it's a requirement, but it sure as hell helps.
If you think she's clean, think again. And I said with Elon, if she wins, we're in deep trouble. So. Wow. Is that really safe? You're never gonna buy this pouch again. Not for you, not for your kids. Make them fresh from scratch. Don't be lazy. That's for your health and your kids' health. You can see the process from A to Z.
Amenities including 6 common balconies, a cafe, a gym, an art and music room, just to name a few. The apartments are fully furnished and there will be caseworkers on site to help run and assist the residents with different programs.
You will need strict restrictions. No alcohol, no drugs, no BS.
A video lasting over a minute was filmed by British researchers during a geological survey in the Indian Ocean. When the autonomous robot was lowered more than 1,100 meters deep into the seabed, it unexpectedly encountered a peculiar-shaped creature swimming in front of it. According to observations, this creature has a black body and a fairly symmetrical shape, resembling 2 axes fused together. While people were still speculating about what kind of creature it was, suddenly it transformed into a spherical shape with multiple glowing veins of surreal colors attached to a soft and flowing lower body like a piece of silk fabric. Not stopping there, after a few seconds of swimming in front of the camera, this creature suddenly darted away, then separated its body into 2 distinct pieces before disappearing into the dark water. It is known that this is a rare and unique video footage of this mysterious creature captured up to the present time, and its identity has yet to be determined.
What is the obsession with reptilians in India? There's a lot of people worshiping reptiles there.
Our gods are snake-like reptilian gods. We worship Nagas. We worship Nagas, which are basically reptiles. We have a lot of ancient texts talking about Nagas. Not only in India, by the way. The Nagas are also called Sarpas.
Where does Nagas come from?
Basically a word that denotes reptile, like a snake, like a serpentine.
Okay.
Like you understand what I'm saying? Like it's called a sarpa in India. It's called a seraph in Israel. It's called a serpent. It's all coming from the same word. From in the Bible, it's all coming from the same word. And the Naga is basically a shape-shifting reptilian set of gods, and believe it or not,
they're among us.
They're considered the origin of human civilization in Cambodia. According to Cambodian history, this is not even Cambodian mythology. You can literally study this history in the history books of Cambodia. They're saying that their very first queen was Naga.
A serpent woman.
Yeah.
Really?
Yes. And humans married with the Nagas. We believe that it's a reptilian species.
They believe it was real.
Yep. I believe it.
Or you believe it was an ancient reptilian species?
Yep. I believe the Nagas are like an ancient reptilian species that coexisted with humans.
Yeah, you go. People accuse them of faking their videos, so they decided to set up a trap for a shadow figure to prove their viewers wrong, and they caught on camera something absolutely terrifying.
We've been having this all day today, or I have. I've been here. We've got shadow figures peeking around this door today. So what we decided to do to prove that these are real, I've made Kaylee sit.
Thanks.
And she's going to grab the camera as soon as we see one. And I'm pretty sure, the screen's pretty hard to see from here, to be fair, but we've tried to push it back to get the best view. There's literally nowhere to go on the stairway. There's yeah, you'd hear somebody running up the stairs. There's no other rooms to go in. Don't cover the screen, because people say you've cut the video. Yeah. Just try and grab it the best you can. Yeah, go. Quick. Anything?
Nothing. Nope. Nothing.
Show everywhere. Oh, there's nowhere really to show.
No, there's nowhere to show. This is flat against the.
Well, basically, I was told I'd gotten to a certain level, 2 levels before godhood, this Ipsissimus deal. I was 3 levels down, and I was transitioning across what they call the abyss into the next level in this occult hierarchy. And I was told you got 2 choices. You can either be a lycanthrope or a vampire. And of course, a lycanthrope is like a shapeshifter, a werewolf, or a were something or other. And I know you're looking at that like,
sounds like you're setting us up for another episode here.
But this,
stay tuned next time.
Well, and I knew a couple of guys that were werewolves, and they said it was very, very painful to make that change.
Okay.
And the things I won't even get into the things you would have to do to achieve that status, if you want to call it that.
Sure.
So I decided that vampires were sexier. I love the idea of being dark and mysterious and walking around in a cave.
Right.
And I actually did own a cape, but anyway, that preceded my vampire thing.
Yeah.
And so, I started being given these various herbs that would help transition me. And again, I'm not going to reveal what those were, but basically over a period of several months, I was preparing myself. I was doing magical rituals to various qliphotic deities, which are beings from the dark side. And finally, one night, this being showed up in my chapel. I had this is a different home than the one I was speaking about before. Everywhere we went, we always had creepy chapels. And he literally walked through the wall. He was this tall, pale being, as real as you or I. And he cut open his chest and had me drink from his blood. And I now believe that was a fallen angel. But back then, I had been led to believe that he was my vampire master, quote unquote, or sire.
Sure.
And when that happened, then I had part of my preparation. I had to build a coffin, a specially constructed coffin. And I go into much greater. We have a video series that's 9 DVDs.
Okay.
It's called "Interview with the Next Vampire." And I go into greater depth there than I have time to here. But the idea is that I stayed in this coffin and incubated after doing this thing with the blood. And then when I emerged, I was no longer a human being. I was somewhere in a twilight world, pardon the pun, considering the vampire books, between being human and being a vampire. And I could not stand the sunlight. I could not stand garlic, and I was living only on Catholic communion and human blood. That's the only thing I could eat or drink. I couldn't even drink water. And I existed like that for nearly a year.
Okay.
And it was pretty miserable.
Yeah.
And the trouble, and I also see I had 8 or 9 women in the covens that we had that were more than willing to let me bite their neck and drink their blood. And I would do different ones every night, so not any one individual got, drained too much.
Right.
And but it wasn't enough. And there's actually I cite this in my newest book. Well, newest, it's now 8 years old. romancing death. I talk about this, that there's a whole field of psychology of people who have addiction to blood and how addictive it is to drink blood. That's why the Bible says don't drink blood. It was said to Noah, it was said to Moses, and it was also ruled upon by the early church in the book of Acts chapter 15. Don't drink blood, because the blood is the life. That phrase, which I'm sure you've heard, is right out of the book of Leviticus.
Yeah.
So I was addicted to this stuff. And I needed more and more of it, just like a heroin addict needs more and more heroin. There's this phenomenon, where you know what I'm talking about. And so I was really worried that I was going to kill somebody.
Yeah.
Either I'd lose control of one of these women, or else, and again, I had to work third shift, throwing newspapers into boxes in the middle of the night, because I couldn't go out in a regular first shift job.
Yeah.
So there I am.
So you were a vampire paperboy.
Sounds pretty pathetic, doesn't it? Anyway, again, that shows you how pathetic the devil really is.
Sure.
And so, long story short, this woman started praying for me.
Mm-hmm.
And that just blew the whole vampire thing out of the water. I lost all of that, thankfully, before I ended up killing someone. So
yeah.
That's the deal on that.
Gotcha. And I mean, you kind of said that you were somewhere between human and something. Like, do you feel like you physically had a change when you were in the coffin?
Oh,
or?
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, obviously, if I was living on nothing but human blood, I'd have to, because a human being couldn't do that.
Mm-hmm.
Because
so
blood, if you drink a lot of blood, it coagulates in your stomach, and it's just disgusting. You end up, so, and plus, my teeth would grow.
Mm.
When I was around someone and I was hungry, I could actually hear their heartbeat. I could be like 10 feet away from someone, and I could hear the pulse in their neck.
Yeah.
And just like, if you'll pardon the metaphor, like, when a man becomes sexually excited, certain things happen physically. Well, with me, that wasn't the case. With me, if I was around someone and I needed to eat, and I could hear their heartbeat and see, literally sense the pulse in their neck, my teeth would start to be the two, fang type teeth.
Yeah.
I think they're called canine teeth.
Yeah.
Would grow a little. And, that was a real thing. I mean, other people observed it. The girls that I was, sipping from saw it, so there you go. I mean, it was and again, the devil can do powerful things to a human body if you you've got to realize, by this time in my life, I was so totally given over to evil.
Sure.
I probably had more devils per cubic centimeter than an entire city. And I wanted them. I begged them to come into me. That's how deceived I was. And yet, with all of that going on, the power of the cross of Christ still was able to set me free.
I don't want to scare you, but do you think you made that story up? Or vampires are real? So, hey, next time you go out late at night, watch your back. And if you work night shift, keep your eyes open. People disappear, unfortunately.
See, my surrogate mother was Viola Armstrong. She had a son named Neil.
Oh, really?
As you know, the story goes, he went down to Antarctica, had a heart attack, stroke combo, and came back. And then there was stuff on the internet. And finally I had to look at Buzz and ask him, Buzz, what happened down there, Bud? Buzz did say one thing, and it just stuck in my head. It's the way he said it. He just said, we thought out things we shouldn't. And if Buzz saw something, I don't know what it was, but it was enough to give the man a heart attack. So if there are beings down there, I would think these beings never planned on us. They've been there, they came in millions of years ago. They've been under ice for millions of years. I don't think they were expecting us.
Let me ask something about Buzz Aldrin, that there was this very cryptic tweet that came out during his stay down there. He said, "We have seen the faces of evil, and we're all in danger." And this is right before he had his heart attack. And I can tell you, logistically, to do a medical evacuation from the interior of Antarctica is very difficult and very expensive. So something must have majorly gone wrong.
To underscore the fact that when the C-130 crew had dropped them off, they disappeared. And then when they went to try to find them, there was nothing at the National Science Foundation camp at all. Nothing.
They were
moving.
gone.
They were
dozen
totally
scientists.
gone. And when they did show up, they had been missing for a couple of weeks. And Brian S. and the C-130 flight crew were then sent back. And they were expecting that they would see this group of scientists out to meet their plane, doing this, yelling, something. And he said they were lined up like birds on a wire. They were all kind of next to each other, and most of them had their heads down looking at their feet when the C-130 was pulling up. And that somebody had to go from the flight crew over to the scientists and direct them to get onto the plane. And they talked about how not one single scientist said one word. Most of them walked with their looking down at the ground. Brian said when they got them loaded up, he said to his flight chief, "What in the world? Where have they been?" And the flight chief said, "I don't know. We can't get a word out of them." And during the flight, Brian went and sat down next to one of the scientists, and he said he leaned over and touched the scientist's knee, and the man never looked up. And he said, it was as if we were dealing with 12 or 15 people who had suffered post-traumatic shock syndrome, that they were unnaturally frozen in their position and no speaking, and that they all looked afraid. That one of the SEALs that I have talked to that is not in the video said that as they walked for a mile or 2 miles into these very strange created architectures, they reached a point where something started coming through the walls out into the air. At first, it would go in and out of visibility, and then they realized that their minds were being manipulated. And then when they could see it clearly, and it was coming in and out like a television signal in the air, it appeared to be covered with scales, like an armadillo, the surface of an armadillo. And he said, when you are face to face with something like that, and you are trained in military to kill, but you're dealing with something you've never seen, and it can go in and out of visibility, and you know that your mind is being taken over by something that you are fighting. He said that happened in one of those corridors, and that was 2012.
Antarctica. And that's the great mystery. They want to keep it for themselves. Why? What did they find out there? Some crazy advanced reptilian technology? But for sure something happened. And if you enjoyed this video, don't forget to hit and smash the like button, smash the subscribe button for me. Stay woke, and I'll catch you next time.